Hi, this is Sonia from Beta Healthcare. This is the fourth video of our series about working in collaborative mode. Today I would like to demonstrate a scenario that involves 5 users. We will have 2 authors, Brandon and Balazs, working collaboratively on a reference set. There will be also 2 reviewers, Orshi and Akosh, and an adjudicator who makes the final decision about what is going to be promoted to the main repository. We're logged into my account. Now let's create a task for this scenario. It will be a SNOMED CT reference set authoring task, and the task title is going to be to create an ibuprofen reference set. I will use the same text for the summary. And the name of the reference set is going to be ibuprofen 2. So now we need to select a scenario. So far we've gone through the first 3 scenarios. The last 2 scenarios are for 5 users. There are 2 options. One is for dual authoring and the other one is for dual blind authoring. The first option, which we're going to do today, means that the authors are working collaboratively on a reference set. So they're working on the same branch and are able to see each other's work. The authoring part of the workflow is similar to the second video. The other option would be that the authors would be working independently on the reference set, which is similar to the previous video that you've seen. So the authoring part is pretty much the same. It's only the review part that changes. So I will go through the authoring part fairly quickly today. Now I need to specify the different users: Balazs, Brandon, Orshi, Akosh, and I will be the adjudicator today and submit the task to the task management system. And we can already go to the first author, to Balazs, and just refresh his task list to bring up the task. Here it is. So Balazs needs to open the task editor, activate the task. So he's moving from main to the branch now. We can see this down here. And on this branch is the reference set, and it's empty, and we can add some members. I will do this fairly quickly and just add 2 clinical findings and save the work. So Balazs' job is already done. Now let's go to the second author, to Brandon. And they're both working on the same branch, so this is the same task here. He also needs to activate it to move to the branch and open the reference set. And we can already see the work that has been done by Balazs. Now let's add some pharmaceutical products and save the work. And since they're both working on the same branch, it's sufficient if one author pushes the workflow forward. This means that Brandon is going to set the task status from assigned to fixed and save the status change. Whenever there's a status change, or if someone leaves a comment here in this section, all the users that are assigned to the task, so all the users that are here in this part of the task editor, get an email notification. This way the reviewers know that the task is ready to be reviewed, and you can see that the green dots move from the authors to the reviewer and the adjudicator. So we can go to the first reviewer, to Orshi. Orshi also needs to open the editor and activate the task to start the review. So far, this scenario has been similar to the second video. And now comes the new part of the workflow. So you can see that the review tab is a bit more complex. There are different columns here. Each of the reviewers has two separate columns. One is to accept or deny a reference set member, and the second one is to leave a comment here. These are Orshi's columns. We can see here is her username and her role, and these two are for Akosh, and these two are for the adjudicator. So Orshi, let's assume she would like to accept only the clinical findings. So this one and this one. She cannot make changes in Akosh's column here. So if I click here, nothing happens. So she can only make changes in this part of the review tab. When she's done with her review, she just saves it. And then Akosh can continue. They could also be working at the same time, of course. Let's open the task here. Akosh also needs to activate it, and since Orshi has done already some changes, we need to refresh this and maximize it. And we can already see Orshi's review. There is no such thing as dual blind reviewing. As soon as one reviewer saves his work, the other one can see the review. The dual blind scenario, which I showed in the previous video, only applies to the authors but not to the reviewers. So here are the columns with Akosh's name, and let's assume he wants to deny the last two reference set members. So he agrees with Orshi in these cases. He also agrees with the clinical findings, but he would like to also accept these two pharmaceutical products. So there is some disagreement between the two reviewers, and he would also save his review. Once the reviewers are done, they need to notify the adjudicator. So if they're working in a small team, they might just communicate in person, and if they're working remotely, they could leave a comment here in the section, for example, that the review has been finished and please proceed, which would then again trigger an email to the adjudicator. Since I'm acting as the adjudicator, we go to my account now, and I also need to activate the task and open the review tab. I don't need to check in which cases the authors agreed. This is set automatically, which we can see down here in this column, automatically set, because in these cases both of the reviews match. So here both reviewers accepted the reference set member, and here both denied the reference set members. So I only need to settle these cases in which the cells are empty. And I can do this. Let's just assume I would like to accept these two reference set members and save my review. It's important that all items are settled. If one is missing, I cannot push the workflow forward, so I cannot mark the task as verified. This way, we want to make sure that all items are reviewed by both of the reviewers and also by the adjudicator, so that each of these cells is set either to accept or denied. And once this is the case, then you can push the workflow forward. It's also possible for the adjudicator to override the decision of the reviewers, so I could also accept these two reference set members if I wanted to, but this is not the general role of the adjudicator. It's usually just to settle the cases in which there was disagreement. Okay, I moved the workflow forward. I mark it to verify it. I need to save the status change. And this enables the promote button. And this is again similar to the other workflow scenarios that we went through. Now I can promote the reference set to the main repository. And only the reference set members that were accepted by the adjudicator are promoted. And if I open the reference set, we can see it's the 2 clinical findings and the 2 pharmaceutical products that were promoted. So the adjudicator has the final decision. So much about dual reference set authoring with 2 reviewers. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for your attention. Bye-bye.